Hey, this is Steve Courier over here at SLO Brewing Co. in San Luis Obispo. Come check it out.
Ortlieb's tastes good like a beer should.
You said it. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco.
Try a frosty cold glass of Bavarian right away.
That you say? No Boulder Dash or baloney here.
Cheers, everyone, and welcome to the Unfiltered Gentleman. And now, with a higher BAC than your ABV, Greg, Scott, and Dan.
Hey, everybody, welcome into the Unfiltered Gentleman. Thanks for listening. Thanks for drinking along. I am Greg. I'm on location today without the gentleman. I'm up in San Luis Obispo. I'm drinking the freshest of the fresh, getting it straight from the source. I'm at SLO Brew, and I'm being joined by Steve Courier, the head brewer. Steve, thanks for hanging out.
Oh, no problem.
I guess before we get too far into this, help me clear things up. I like to talk a little history. First of all, at one point, was it SLO Brewing and now it's SLO Brew? Did that change?
They're pretty interchangeable.
Okay.
SLO Brews just sounds cooler.
Right, yeah.
I don't know. SLO Brew.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a good hashtag.
Everyone's Brewing Co.
Right.
So it's our little way of saying it.
Switch
it's kind
it
of
up.
like a local thing.
Yeah.
Really.
And you get a nice little hashtag out of it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Before we get into your history and that sort of thing, SLO Brew or SLO Brewing has sort of a really unique history of their own. I was looking it up. They started in 1988, which a lot of huge breweries started in 1988.
Yeah.
Sierra Nevada, Rogue.
The class of 88.
Yeah. It was
we
huge.
actually we called a bunch of those guys last year.
Oh, yeah.
And tried to do like collabs or something together. And we couldn't really get any because they're all much bigger breweries than we are. We couldn't get any of them on board, but I feel proud to be part of that class, you know.
Yeah, it's a surprisingly, I guess, influential class. I mean, these breweries have so many from that one year have gone just, multinational and huge and are still craft and all that stuff. So it's a very nice, distinguished class to be a part of.
Yes.
The brew pub and the brewery itself have a weird kind of history. It started off as a pub in downtown, and then it sort of wasn't. Can you kind of clear things up history-wise for us?
Yeah, so the original pub opened 1988 on Garden Street.
Okay.
In downtown SLO, and then started expanding just like a lot of breweries do, especially at that time, boom years in the 90s, first wave of craft brew. And the original owner, Mike Hoffman, decided to open up a production facility and didn't do it in SLO because SLO is kind of notoriously expensive. So they looked north county to Paso Robles, and actually SLO Brew built the original 50-barrel JV Northwest brew house that Firestone is now in.
Okay.
So that's kind of the twisted history there.
Yeah.
And then I think it was about 2003 or so that Mike Hoffman, original owner, sold everything off. So he sold everything to different people. So he sold the brand to a distributor. He sold the pub to a local developer. Okay. And then he sold the production brewery to Firestone.
Right.
So SLO Brew's been through 3 different ownership changes.
Okay.
And I think that's where it gets a little murky.
Right.
And the fact that we kind of have this intertwined history with Firestone, and everyone's always a little confused on that.
Yeah, I was looking up the brand history, and it looked like it kind of dropped off for a couple of years almost.
Yeah. At one point, we were in over 30 states.
Okay.
That all kind of, once everything got sold off, it just kind of went downhill from there.
Yeah.
So the distributor kind of killed the brand. They just didn't promote it. They took the brewing of the beer out of California.
Oh, really?
And started contract brewing it. So it kind of just went through this really weird
It's kind of wherever was cheapest.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then, the new ownership at the pub were not pushing as far as, growing the beer end of it.
Yeah, and they changed the name, right?
And changed the name to Downtown Brewing Company.
Right.
So those are, no offense to anybody that was a part of that team, but I call those the dark years.
Sure.
And, we kind of lost our way a little, but with the new ownership, Hamish Marshall and Rodney Segalski, they really had the vision and the energy and attitude to really kind of take it to the next step where we are now.
Yeah, you guys got this great brand new brewery.
So it's been interesting to go through all these ebb and flows, and I'm sure most breweries kind of go through
Sure.
that. It feels
at least
like
to some extent.
maybe ours is we maybe dipped down lower than I
a
would
little
have
more
liked
drastic.
to. But yeah, we're excited now and good positive energy. So
Yeah, and current owners did they buy what was then Downtown Brew and then remade that into SLO Brew?
Exactly.
And then
So
you guys kind of outgrew that.
yeah, they bought the business and then went out and bought the old name back from the distributor.
Oh, okay.
So they actually went and found the people that owned it, and they weren't doing anything with it. It was just
Clearly,
dead.
yeah.
And they bought it back to bring back the name, and obviously got rid of Downtown Brew.
Right, yeah. No, that's really cool.
Yeah, so they really believed in it.
Yeah.
And there is some, it had some recognized, it was recognized kind of in the industry. We won a lot of awards, so they wanted to bring that back. And
Right.
kind of capitalize on it.
Yeah, and you even won some awards in the 90s.
Yeah. We were Brew Pub of the Year in 2001.
Okay.
And yeah, we won lots of medals there for a while in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then when Downtown Brew came, we stopped doing all of that.
Right.
And we're just now starting to get kind of back into competition.
Yeah, you guys recently won for the Stout,
Yeah,
right?
we
a couple
won
years
Oatmeal
ago.
Stout, not this last year, but the year before.
Okay.
And that's the first year we've been back competing.
Yeah.
So,
Feels good to be back.
yeah, it's fun.
I can imagine.
It was nice to take a break, actually, but it's been fun to re-engage in that part of it.
There's a lot of pressure competing.
It is, but it's all done in kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's not like ultra cutthroat.
Yeah, everybody's friends.
Yeah, and
It's beer.
It's more a pressure that you put on yourself.
Right.
I'm sure a lot of brewers do that. And kind of, I know I can do better.
Right.
One of our catchphrases around here too is continuous improvement, and competition can be a good gauge of that.
Oh, for sure.
Tell you how you're doing.
Right, yeah, if you're not selling.
Yeah.
But the other guy is. Very cool. All right, so are there any recipes that have stuck around since the original?
Yeah, actually, some of them are actually hard to get rid of. Blueberries still around.
Okay.
That's a very old recipe. That probably goes back. I mean, it's changed a little, but the base beer is essentially the same. That's been around for, I want to say probably close to 20 years.
Wow.
Reggae Red, which is our red wheat with hemp seed.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably been around about 10, 15 years.
Okay. Yeah, that reggae is the first one I ever had.
Yeah.
SLO. It's delicious. It's just a solid red.
And there's like a lot of one-offs. Even this Winter Brown that we have is, seasonal, but we've been doing it every year for probably at least 15 years.
Okay.
So yeah, there's kind of a good balance of old and new.
Yeah.
And it's always fun to kind of update old recipes too.
Right.
Kind of
yeah,
revisit them and
freshen them up a bit.
yeah.
All right. Speaking of beer, we have a very nice looking flight in front of us. How about you tell us about some of these beers? What should we start off with?
I think we'll start with the light stuff.
Makes sense.
So this is a honey blonde. It's something that we're newly developing. We've only brewed it a couple times. Actually, the name of it is Hazy Honey.
Okay.
But if you're looking at it right now, it's not too hazy.
That's pretty clear.
Pretty clear. So
Definitely by East Coast standards.
we got a little more work to do on this. So we actually are using the same yeast strain as we are in our East Coast IPA.
Oh.
We wanted to kind of do like a blonde, but like a twist on it.
Right.
And honey blonde, speaking of old recipes, is a really old recipe too.
Okay.
And we weren't brewing it for a long time, and we kind of brought it back, and we wanted to put a twist on it. And we decided we'd kind of make it like a cross between a New England style and a blonde. I don't think we're there yet. We're using really good local honey that we're really excited about.
Yeah. And this is really good. It's light, but it's got a little extra carbonation to it than you're expecting, which keeps it real light on the tongue. Is it hard in this area to come up with a good honey blonde? Because you kind of have like the most famous honey blonde just down the street.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's not a honey blonde anymore. And it's funny because the history of those two beers are kind of intertwined too. So I know what you're talking about.
Right.
So before that beer, it was a honey blonde. And that was a big seller for
Right.
SLO Brew for many, many years. And then, it kind of took off in another direction. We stopped making it.
Okay.
So yeah, now we're bringing it back. It's different. It's totally different. We brought the honey back into the fold.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we're playing with the yeast strain. We want to make it more like a hazy, soft body. Blondes a lot of times are very malty, and
Right.
we kind of wanted to back a little of that malt out and make it just more soft. And like I said, I think we're on the right path. For the haze thing, we're going to play with the temperature.
Yeah.
I think that was the big thing. We wanted to kind of make it a little cleaner fermentation, so we used it at 68 was our fermentation temperature. Which
Okay.
I think next time we do it, we'll drive it up to 70s.
See what happens.
Get more of that fruity and get more haze formation.
And usually on a blonde, you kind of try your hardest to not have the yeast play too big a role in the flavor. And this one, you actually get a little bit of that.
Yeah.
You can tell it's more prominent yeast.
So we have another blonde that we make, OG, and we just tweaked with that recipe too. But I was getting and not off-putting at all, but for my taste, a little too much just malt character.
Okay.
So I kind of wanted to balance that out a little more with some yeast and maybe even a little hop. And
yeah, just have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like a great day on the lake kind of beer.
Yeah.
Go to the beach type thing, go hiking.
Good one to start a flight out with.
Exactly. All right, let's talk about you and your history and you and brewing and all that stuff. When did you start brewing?
Yeah, that's a funny story. So I go back quite a ways. I'm 47 now. So I actually got exposed to home brewing when I was 16.
Okay.
I moved out of my folks' house when I was 16 and moved into a big house, 5 bedrooms, and pretty much 1 to 2 people in every bedroom. And it was kind of funny. We were young in our 20s, and
right.
I was 16. They were all 20-year-olds. But we would always go through all these phases of interests. It'd be surfing for a couple months,
sure.
or skateboarding, or punk music, or we'd just always be going through these phases. One of them was homebrewing, and we just got really into it. And it was one of those things that kind of lasted longer than all the others.
Yeah.
So I was exposed to brewing at this house. We were all home brewing. These guys were older than I was, and they started getting jobs in brewing. 2 of the guys were brewers at SLO Brew before I was.
Okay.
So Darren Butchie, who now runs Oblivion Brewing up in Oregon.
Okay.
And then another guy, Dave Kane, who's no longer in brewing industry, but that's how I got exposed to it. Very young age.
Little underage drinking.
Little underage, but it was just fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I never thought it would be a job or
right. Of course not, especially back then.
Career.
Yeah.
And we just got so into it, and it was so new that I just kept going down that road, and I kept following them around, kind of learning. Ended up lucking out and getting the brewing job at a SLO Brew. And then probably the most fortuitous thing that ever happened to SLO Brew and to me as far as learning was hiring Matt Brynildson from Goose Island to SLO Brew originally.
Okay.
And he kind of just reshaped probably brewing in this whole area.
Oh, yeah.
And kind of just elevated the whole thing. And that's when I really started getting into it and thinking, okay, I can do this. This could be like a real job.
Yeah.
And
what do you know?
Yeah, I just kind of kept going and was lucky enough to work at Firestone for about 14 years.
Wow.
And got to work with Brynildson, and all those guys up there are great. Darren, and big group of guys that are still there and have moved through that I've learned so much from, and learned by doing,
Right.
Never went to school for brewing, just learned from smart people.
You're right. Some of the best people.
Yes.
So initially, was it more of like a, hey, I'm 16 and I've got alcohol kind of thing?
No, it was more like I was just the little brother, just hanging out. Kind of, I wasn't the one spearheading it. I wasn't going out and, buying the raw materials and learning. I was just kind of hanging out, and I kind of just slowly got into it. It wasn't like I got hooked right away.
Right.
It wasn't like, I got to learn how to brew beer so I can drink free underage or anything like that. It wasn't motivated by that. It was more motivated by the craft and the do-it-yourself.
Okay.
I really like that aspect of it. I mean, I was drinking, but it wasn't. I don't know. I don't think I was that bad.
We'll ask some of your roommates.
Yeah, you'd have to ask them.
Yeah. So The way you talk about brewing, are you into cooking at all?
No. I
Interesting.
mean, I wouldn't say I'm not into it.
Right.
I would say that I don't have enough time. We actually just moved to a nice place and a much better kitchen. I kept telling my wife before we moved, I'm like, oh yeah, I can't wait. We're going to get in there. I'm going to start cooking more.
Right.
Well, that was 6 months ago. I have yet to cook a meal there. But I have every intention of
It's a thought
busting
that
those
counts.
pots and pans out and
Right.
making something new, something
Right.
that is interesting. So yeah, I need to develop that game a little.
All right, before we move on, what's next here on our flight?
So we'll move up to Pilsner.
Nice.
Kind of just trying to do as traditional as possible using Saphir. I know Matt kind of gave me that trick.
Yeah.
He gets a little defensive sometimes, but I'm pretty sure he learned it from somebody too. And we also, our new favorite German hop, Hallertauer Blanc.
Oh yeah,
which
super
is
popular right now.
Yeah, it's a little dankier, a little more fruity than Saphir. Saphir is maybe a little more traditional, and Blancs are a little new school, so it's
Yeah.
kind of a play on that.
Yeah, the Blanc's a little, like you said, dank and a little more of that hop, piney character than most German hops tend to be.
That's the first thing I smell when I
Yeah.
stick my nose in here.
It smells a lot hoppier than it drinks. Like you stick your
Yeah.
nose in there. If you're not a hop person, you might go, "Oh crap, what am I getting into?" But it doesn't drink that way.
Yeah, it's not very bitter.
That's nice. That's refreshing. It's crisp.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I'm always surprised at the light beer drinkers that hang out here. We make a Mexican lager, Big Cerveza sometimes. It's not on top right now, but it's amazing. They'll love that beer, not hoppy at all,
Right.
but they cannot do this because it's too hoppy. And I'm always like, wow, that's nothing. Like,
Here, let's find out if this is too hoppy. We have someone in the room that does not like hops.
yeah,
All right. It's not too hoppy. That's what the crowd says.
darn, I need to put some more hops in there then.
Get it to where she doesn't like it. Then you know you got a good beer. If you don't mind, can we talk about your time at Firestone a little bit?
Yeah.
Is that allowed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
All right.
We'll find out.
Yeah. We'll find out when the lawyers call us.
Yeah.
So how did you get started? I guess where were you first, SLO or Firestone, then kind of how that transition?
So SLO, I was at SLO first, and then I was actually present for the whole build out of that facility up there when it was just a 50 barrel. It was all 50 barrel, 7 fermenters, 7 200-barrel fermenters.
Right.
Now it's like,
No, it's ginormous.
yeah, 30 plus.
The
and,
Disneyland of beer.
Yeah, 800 barrel
Yeah.
fermenters, 500 barrel fermenters. So it's nothing like it used to be.
Right.
It looks quaint back then, but
Yeah.
so Matt was hired on by SLO Brew to run basically both places, and he, got the job when Firestone took over,
Okay.
and he brought a lot of the SLO Brew guys back. So a lot of those guys up there now were originally with SLO Brew too. Jim Crooks was with SLO Brew.
Interesting.
Ollie, another guy up there, Rozzy. A lot of the old timers were SLO Brew people.
Okay. And so did SLO basically poach him in quotes, from Goose Island?
Yeah. We poached Matt from Goose Island.
Okay.
Then he came out here, joined the team that was here already.
Right.
Then everybody basically got laid off, and then he got the job and brought a bunch of those people back,
Okay.
including me.
So around when was the Firestone for you? Did you start?
Oh, that was about, I want to say, 03, 04.
Okay.
somewhere in there.
So before they really blew up.
Yes.
I mean, beyond the new place, but
Yeah, so they moved from the vineyards
okay.
down in Los Olivos.
Right where the winery is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and moved there.
Back when they were still the same company.
Yeah, they were really small when they
Yeah.
came there. It was like, I don't even think barely 10,000 barrels a
Oh,
year.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. So what was your role at Firestone? Just assistant brewer or?
Yeah, I was pretty much lead brewer. I
Okay.
was a weekend manager.
In quotes.
Not the best gig to have,
Right.
But worked every weekend for probably 6 years. But it was a lot of responsibility, and
Right,
I
well, yeah.
learned a lot. I say a lot of times working there was like going to university,
Oh, I'm sure.
and it's just everything they do is cutting edge and just super high quality, and they know how to do it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Are you responsible for any of the beers that they're still putting out?
No.
Okay.
No, Matt was definitely the guru on that.
Makes sense. Bringing it back around here. How much beer are you guys putting out annually at SLO?
So this year we're going to produce about 7,000 barrels.
Okay, I mean that's pretty up there.
Yeah, this is only year 2.
Yeah, the new
of this
new brewery
facility.
Yeah.
So everything's moving the right direction. It's slow, which is fine.
Right.
And have plans to grow to 14,000 this year. So that's not all SLO Brew though. We are doing some contracting.
Sure.
And with the distillery coming on too, that'll account for some of our volume.
Mm-hmm.
I feel pretty confident that we're going to get there.
Yeah, but you were working at Firestone when they're putting out 10,000 plus barrels a year, so you kind of have the experience to manage that much beer.
When I left, they were doing about 250,000.
Oh, okay. So you left when they were popular.
Yeah.
For a while, you were working both places,
Yeah.
right? And so what was the final draw to get you over here?
This.
The new place?
Yeah. So we had been talking, Hamish and Rodney and I had been talking / daydreaming
Right.
about doing something like this for years before they actually did it.
Yeah.
And I kept working both jobs, because at that point it was just a lot of talking.
Right.
But man, they really showed up and really kind of put their money where their mouth is. And
yeah, I mean, this place is gorgeous.
when I started to see that action and stuff actually happening and their vision, I got really excited to come back. And I've always wanted to be here. It was always, I lived in SLO. I started here. It was always kind of had a place in my heart.
Sure.
And I really care about the business. So I was excited to come back no matter what. But man, they really kind of went way beyond what I was even expecting. And I'm a worker, but I told ownership I only need 2 things. One of them is beer, obviously.
Right.
Beer will keep me going a long time. And then lots of music, lots of loud music. And so ownership responded again very well to that and put in this really nice speaker system. We've actually blown the speakers a couple times and they've replaced them, which is beyond me. Like, wow, you guys are really cool. And we have Sonos. So it's just, we have this really great music system back here. So I got what I asked for.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Beer and music. I'm a happy kid.
That's awesome.
They're great leaders and great bosses, just really down to earth. Like, they're out of town right now, but if they were here, they'd be sitting here having beers with us.
Nice. So do you get full creative control then over the beer?
Yeah, I share it with marketing.
Okay. Sure.
But they're actually pretty good about giving us freedom.
That's
sure.
good.
But we also want to sell beer, and so we
got to make what sells.
We try to work closely with marketing.
Yeah.
So it's a give and take.
Yeah, a little delicate balance.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you get to play around a little bit because you're talking about the honey blonde. You're still not totally there yet. You're playing with it, playing with temperatures, playing with hops. And all that
they're
stuff.
definitely not looking over our shoulder.
Yeah, that must be nice. Speaking of beer, how about we move on to our next one?
So next beer is Still Frothy, double IPA, Simcoe, Mosaic, Amarillo, and we just started packaging this actually. So
there's a stack of cans right behind us.
Yep, we just packaged it last week. Hit our shelves here. And it'll be out in the market probably in the next week or so.
Okay.
I imagine. But just big West Coasty style.
Clear.
Yeah. West Coast big IPA with all the, the big crazy hops.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to go overboard.
Yeah, throw a bunch of hops in there. And what's the ABV?
It's 8.9.
Okay.
So
this is a little easy for 8.9.
Yeah.
A little dangerous. Nicely balanced though. It's not like a hop kick to the teeth.
Yeah.
Very nice. How far do you guys reach with your distribution?
So we're basically in California.
Okay.
We have 11 distributors, I believe, here in California. It's not everywhere, but most of them big markets, San Diego, San Francisco, Valley, LA.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably some gaps, places I'm not sure where, but
sure.
Then we also, so ownership is Australian.
Okay.
We actually have some people helping us out back there selling our beer.
So that's cool.
So we ship beer to Australia too.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can almost always, at the very least, find some Reggae Red around us in the LA area, and sometimes
the blonde.
Yeah, the blonde. Because I've seen some of those cans laying around. So yeah, it's very nice to reach to get to.
Yeah. We're just concentrating on California, I think, right now. Yeah. Just trying to do that. I think there's talk of other states, but that's probably down the road a little.
Right, makes sense. The industry a little bit recently has been kind of dipping, it seems. A lot of breweries are starting to close, especially down in San Diego where it's crazy concentrated. Have you guys seen any sort of decline, or are things still on the up and up?
They're definitely on the up and up, but I will say that we have maybe a little bit of a different strategy too.
Okay.
Where we really believe in our brand,
Mm-hmm.
but we have space available.
Right.
You know, this is a big place, so
It's a huge place.
we're trying to be very smart and trying to find some of those contracts and doing the spirits so we can
Right.
do that. We have some other projects too that we're talking about doing. So basically kind of trying to diversify.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think that's their strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a brewer. All I really think about is beer,
Making good beer.
but I'm stoked that they're thinking about these things because
Yeah.
I do see that happening, and I think they're being really smart about it. So we even do some contract canning because our
Okay.
canning line is not going 24/7. So we've done some packaging of wine
Oh, wow.
in cans. So we're really trying to cut it up a little and
Right.
not have it just be, okay, we got to sell 1 million cases of still frothy or we're not going to make it this year.
Right. And it's a smart strategy. A lot of small breweries kind of rely on the sexiness of craft beer, and then when the business end of it doesn't go so well, they're not so sexy anymore.
And it is a business, and this is a big, there's a lot of employees, and
Yeah, I mean, you guys got a great restaurant in there.
yeah, it's not just
event
about
space.
making beer. There's, we got all kinds of events, and
Well, the other location has lofts above it that you can
we got like a
rent
little
out and
boutique hotel
right.
above it. That's really nice, actually.
Yeah. So they're really dipping their toes in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool. Let's get some history on you as a beer drinker.
Hmm.
Is there a specific beer that you remember, like, kind of getting you into beer?
Yeah, definitely. The first time I ever really got tipsy was Bigfoot.
Okay.
Sierra Nevada Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So, I was a big fan of Sierra Nevada, Anderson Valley,
Mm-hmm.
Belk's Bitter. I don't know if you ever remember that one.
No.
It was like a
Is it still
ESB style.
Okay.
I do see it around once in a while.
Interesting.
I really love that beer. It was, more English style.
Right.
The hop craze wasn't exactly kicked in the later 80s when I started
Yeah.
getting into it.
Prior to San Diego.
Yeah. And we were doing the pale ale, which was hoppy, considered
Right.
hoppy back then. And it's funny because I never went through that cheap beer phase.
Oh,
Because I started getting exposed to these beers. Those were the first beers I was drinking.
Yeah, and your roommates are bringing home this
The
stuff.
first time I ever got intoxicated was Bigfoot. I mean,
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it was just like kind of backwards,
Right, yeah.
I just was always immersed in all these good beers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, I just never went down the bad beer path. And beer is so fun because it's so endless.
Yeah.
You just keep going and going and going. I've been
Right.
doing this forever, and there's still tons of beer styles that we've never made that I still want to make.
Mm-hmm.
And forget all the, crazy creative beers with,
Glitter.
other additions and stuff.
Right.
There's some classic beer styles that we've never even made, and I just keep finding more and more to get interested in, and all the creativeness that's out there with all the brew IPAs in New England. It just goes and goes. It's so fun. It's
So
crazy.
So you missed the whole crappy beer phase.
Yeah.
Do you ever now drink any of those crappy beers?
Never.
Smart man.
Oh wait. So when I go to Mexico,
Okay.
so this last year, usually I'll drink Pacifico.
Okay.
We've been going every year for like 10 years. This last year, I could only put down like 3 in like 10 days.
Right.
So
Right.
I basically didn't drink the whole time I was there. I can't do it.
That's
I just
funny.
cannot do it.
I always get a kick out of brewers who have like a secret love affair with like PBR or something crappy like
There's
that.
a lot of them.
Yeah,
too.
there is. It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
I've always been amazed at, and it's like some of the best brewers too.
Yeah.
And they'll
You see them on a weekend cracking open a can
Yeah,
of something
and they
crappy.
just
It's like,
want-
what are you doing?
they just want the lightest,
Yeah.
beer they can drink.
I guess when they're drinking hot bombs and barrel aged
I
stuff all
get
day
it,
at
yeah.
work. Yeah.
But I think that's also why you're starting to see all the craft lager.
Oh yeah. All of a sudden lager's cool.
Yeah, and I bet you that's brewer driven.
Oh yeah.
That's brewers going, okay, I want some light.
Right. Please stop drinking these double IPAs.
Yeah.
I need a break.
Totally.
Yeah. Have you had any other day jobs other than brewing?
Good question. Wow. Never even thought about that. Yeah, I had a paper route.
Okay. Never had to do
I did some restaurant stuff.
Okay.
Cooking, actually. Shoot, yeah, I've been brewing a long time. That's crazy.
You just had a breakthrough.
Huh.
That's funny.
I am definitely one of those people that I don't look back very often.
Right.
I'm always looking in the future, and yeah, it's funny to stop and think about that. It's like, yeah, I have not done very many other jobs.
I guess I should ask then, ever since your first job brewing, have you had to work a non-brewing related job?
Never.
So once you got in, it was it.
Yeah.
You got jumped in the club.
Yeah, and even like during the recession and all that, I was busier than ever.
People still need to drink.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter how poor they are.
Yeah, I've never been out of work.
That's
crazy.
funny. That's good.
And even in a small county too, it's not a lot of people here.
Yeah. If you couldn't be in beer, do you have another job or?
Yeah,
Chippendales dancer.
Yeah. My original love was architecture.
Okay.
I was actually going to go to school to do that, and got sidetracked by beer.
What a shame. Would you say that's what you wanted to be when you grew up, like when you were a kid?
Yeah. Took drafting all through high school.
Wow.
Like got sponsored by the teacher, was well on my way. Cal Poly has a big architecture curriculum.
It's down the street.
Yeah, and I was on my way, and I just, like I said, when I was 16, moved out of the house. I graduated high school when I was 16. Just fell in with these group of bad influencers.
Look what they led you to.
Yeah, forget about college.
Right.
I'm going to do this beer drinking thing.
That's funny. And you're not the first brewer that wanted to be an architect. In fact, I know at least one brewer that was an architect, and that led him to designing a very nice brewery.
Cool.
But now he's just a brewer/brewery owner. So it's really interesting. I wonder if there's something with that, use of that side of the brain that leads you to being a good brewer or something.
Yeah, architecture is a mix of art and science.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah,
art and engineering.
Right. Yeah. So it's interesting to think about. All right, before we move on, let's move on our flight here.
So this is our New England style East Coast IPA. Hazy New England style East Coast, or just IPA.
Yeah.
A lot of new school hops. We've been using a lot of Vic Secrets, and that's kind of an ode to the Aussie thing. So for our 30th anniversary, which this isn't, but it was a triple dry hop double IPA.
Okay.
That's when we got onto the Vic Secrets, because we wanted to get some Aussie hops and American hops and kind of use that as a ode to the ownership. And we started really getting into the Vic Secret, and probably going to change it up a little because those hops are a little harder to find sometimes.
Sure. A little more expensive too.
Yeah. But it's just fun playing with all the new hops, Eldorados and Azakas, and there's so many of them out there now.
Yeah, this is nice. This is it definitely gets some tropical fruits in there, a little bit of citrus, a little bit of pine. It smells real fruity.
There's citra in here.
It's just the right amount of haze.
Yeah.
It's not that cloudy mess.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah, and it's not going to show up brown in a can. I've had that before. That's always, or I guess gray, not brown. But yeah, that's a very nice.
That's another new one that we've been developing. We probably only brewed that like 5 times, and we're still tweaking that one too.
And do you can this one yet?
We do. We just started canning it.
So do you get any sort of negative feedback when you're canning stuff and then you tweak the recipe a little bit and people are like, hey, I thought this was better 6 months ago? Or
I haven't yet, but I'd be super stoked if somebody were to pick that up.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, all right.
You know what you're talking about.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like I always get a kick out, like if I overhear people out here, and they'll like the Brute IPA, somebody will drink it and they don't know anything about it. Oh, that's so dry. Yes.
I did it right.
So yeah, I'd be stoked if somebody was like, wow, you guys aren't using the Vic Secrets anymore. Like, I haven't actually seen that very much.
It'd be interesting. Speaking of IPAs, you guys recently jumped in on the Butte County Resilience IPA brewing. What kind of led you to that?
We have some regulars here that were affected. One of our guys especially was really sad because he had 2 pictures of the house he grew up in that his dad built. And, the first one, beautiful looking house. Second picture, completely gone.
Jeez.
I mean, that's powerful. That kind of imagery is powerful.
Right.
And, Sierra Nevada really took the helm on this. So they made it easy for everybody.
Yeah.
And we try to do, just like a lot of breweries do, try to give back to the community. So
Yeah.
It's a part of our culture where we really try to give back. So we actually collabed with Central Coast Brewing,
Okay.
Brendan over there, and it was really fun to do. First of all, brew a recipe that Sierra Nevada made,
Right.
and finding out that it's super old school West Coast IPA.
Yeah.
And, great cause. I mean, there's just so much good about it. It
Oh,
was
absolutely.
hard not to do it.
Right.
Like, I would have felt left out if we hadn't done it,
Yeah, why not jump on that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun. So I have a great story about that. So we sold through it in 2 days.
Oh, wow.
First of all, it's the first time I've been at a bar where somebody raised their hand and said, "Next round's on me,"
Oh, wow.
and bought the whole bar a round of Resilience.
That's awesome.
And I was like, that is so cool. I've always seen it in the movies, but I've never actually been at the bar when that happens. And
That is cool.
It was just super cool. And the woman who did it, her daughter lost her house.
Okay.
So she was happy. It was kind of a win-win.
Yeah.
She was
Drinking
happy
for a cause.
to donate the money, and then also made everyone else happy in the bar. It was,
Right.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah, and it's been fun seeing all the breweries. I mean, over 1,400 at this point across the country. It's insane.
Yeah.
So
It's fun too. Like some of the guys, when they've gotten, over the holidays, some of them have gotten out of town and gone and tried the other ones.
Right.
And it's fun to like go and try to seek them out and try.
Yeah, it's fun to compare them against, a local brewery near us just released theirs, and they were accidentally a little too efficient on their mash. So I think theirs is 7.5%
Ooh.
instead of was it supposed to be like 6.5 or something?
Yeah.
So they bumped theirs up a little bit. So it's just fun to see like who's screwing up and who's doing a good
Yeah.
thing and
Totally.
and
Well,
comparing them.
yeah, it's so interesting because, I mean, essentially it's the same recipe, although I'm sure every brewer's kind of done their own little
tweaks
a
and
little tweaking. But yeah, it's fun to see all the different outcomes.
Yeah. And did they give you yeast for it, or did you use your own strain of yeast?
We used house. Just
Okay.
Cal Ale, though.
Yeah.
That's what they use.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm sure it's similar.
Yeah, probably. All right, cool. Before we get to the rapid fire questions, which I love to end on, a little bit more about SLO Brewing. What's different about SLO than other California breweries?
Well,
Besides the kick-ass concert space. And
we got heritage.
Yeah.
We got some history, which is actually one of the things that drew me to brewing anyways in the first place, was not so much SLO Brew's history, but just the incredible history of brewing. Just to think that like I'm doing something that somebody, 1,000 years ago was doing the same thing, different tools maybe, but
right.
same process, same idea.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy that aspect of our company, that we have this kind of rich history, and it's got some lumps and bumps too, but that's actually great motivation for me, for somebody like me to be like, we're going to do better, continuous improvement. You know, that was then, this is now, we're going to do better. And as far as the product goes, we've always been a little more traditional. We're starting to break out of that a little, but I always kind of want to have that balance.
Sure.
So we're not going to be strictly new school or strictly old school. I think just kind of playing with both those school of thoughts is kind of where our niche is, maybe.
Right. No, it makes sense. And you guys are soon opening a distillery. I think we're in what's going to be the distillery right now.
Yeah. So I don't know the exact date, but I know it's going to be 2019.
Okay.
The ownership, Rodney Sigelski, Hamish Marshall. So Hamish Marshall, his nickname is Hammer. Hamish Hammer, kind of. Rodney his name is Rodney, so Rod.
Okay.
So the brand is going to be Rod and Hammer.
Nice.
Pretty cool brand.
Yeah.
And they got some cool custom bottles. They're really going all out on this project. I think they're kind of aiming for a little top shelf.
Yeah. Well, they haven't skipped on anything yet.
No. No. So I'm guessing probably maybe the end of the year.
Okay.
You might start seeing that. I'm not too sure, but
play it by ear a little bit.
But that is going to bring alcohol out here too. So right now at the Rock, we only have beer.
Okay.
And so now we're going to be introducing alcohol, which hopefully will be more on the craft cocktail side and
not the drunk college kids
not
side.
a lot of shots and stuff like that.
Right.
But there's going to be a tasting room. So it should be less like a bar and more like tasting distillery.
Yeah, more like a brewery, but with spirits. Do you think that hazy IPAs are here to stay?
Yes.
And do you like them?
Yes.
I mean, you made one, so I would hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it was an acquired taste.
Yeah,
I had to work at it.
sure.
First one I had, I wasn't like, oh my God, this is awesome. I'm going to drink these all the time.
Yeah.
No, it was tough for a little while. But it was like that for my first IPA.
Oh, sure.
West Coast IPA.
I don't think anybody loved their first IPA.
Exactly.
Especially that early Stone stuff.
So, and I'm actually a big fan now. So
Yeah.
I was never a hater per
Sure.
se, but I was always kind of, we'll see.
Yeah, gimmick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I probably had a few that weren't the best examples.
Sure.
But no, I think they're definitely here to stay.
All right. And what do you think about brewed IPAs? I mean, I know you guys have it on tap right now.
I like it. I think it's definitely going to be here to stay too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they any harder to make than a regular IPA?
They're tricky.
Are they?
Yeah. They're definitely tricky. Definitely harder.
Okay.
It's funny because you mentioned brewed IPA. Whatever happened to session IPA?
That was my favorite.
I know. And
Yeah.
it's just like kind
I love being able to have 4 and not feeling like I'm going to pass out.
of. So I almost feel like brute is going to kind of fill those shoes, but not on the alcohol.
Yeah,
it's
I wish it
almost,
would.
It's almost like the drinkability and body.
Yeah.
But it's almost like for session IPAs, people were missing the alcohol.
Which is weird. The whole point of a session is to not have the alcohol.
I know, but it was like I like the easy drinking, the low alcohol,
Right, yeah.
But
Have
the
them all
nice
day for
big
football. And
hop presence.
Mhm.
But yeah, so our session IPA in a can, Wave Wrangler, I love the beer. It doesn't do very good on the shelf. It doesn't last very long, but it just doesn't sell, and we're gonna drop it, and it
It's a shame.
kind of makes me cry a little
Yeah.
inside because that was like one of my favorite beers that we make, and session IPA just kind of seemed to.
Yeah, if you need help
Better out.
offloading those cans, you just let me know.
But I guess brute. I don't know. It could go that way. I feel like, but
Be interesting to see. I found, it's very early in the brute
yeah,
craze. I have found more bad examples than good examples.
yeah. And I've only had a couple.
yeah,
too.
I've only probably had 5 or 6. So yeah, but I'd say more of them were bad than good.
Yeah,
So hopefully people.
I think it's super interesting.
It
though.
is interesting, and how they get it to dry out and everything.
Yeah.
And it's been fun to see a new craze.
Yeah.
It's better than the glitter craze.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. And then finally, what's your favorite brewery other than your own?
Yeah. Firestone, actually.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, before we get to the rapid fire, we have one last beer that is staring
yeah.
us down.
Winter Braun.
Winter Braun.
I love the word brawn because it has 2 meanings. Braun means like strong, or in German it means brown.
Oh, okay.
So this is basically
Brown strong.
Imperial Brown,
Yeah.
aged in rye whiskey barrels.
You can smell that whiskey. It smells delicious.
Yeah, it's got like that candy. It's like, smells like candy.
Oh, that is.
Oh yeah, you can taste the whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of tasting a little alcoholic.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely get some of that warmth from the whiskey. You get some of that chocolatiness, a little bit of coffee from the brown. What's the percentage on this?
So it's funny because I had to ask Alex Villicana from Refine, where we get our barrels from.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him to rate on the scale of 1 to 10 how wet our barrels come back to us.
Okay.
Because I got this incredible alcohol percentage rise. So I asked him to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 how wet, and he told me 9.
So very
wet. And we actually got a rise in alcohol from about 9% to about 12.5. So
that's a pretty big jump.
just from the whiskey. So,
Yeah, because usually you gain like 1% maybe.
So, and that's why you can really taste that whiskey.
Yeah,
too.
it's nice and warm, but it's not too much alcohol, but it definitely warms you up as you sip it. That is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's nice. And because you use the brown as your base, it's not too heavy. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it, but it's not like drinking motor oil.
Yeah.
Which is nice. We're going to wrap things up with rapid fire questions. These are just series of questions. First thing that comes to your mind, don't think about it too much. What's the first beer you ever drank?
Bigfoot.
First beer you ever brewed?
Ooh, that would probably be an amber.
Okay. First beer you brewed and sold?
Probably an amber.
Okay. What's your favorite, cans or bottles?
Cans.
Okay. Cans are fun.
I'm a can man.
It's easy to bring with you. Favorite beer and food pairing?
So I'm funny like that. So I actually like appetizers in beer.
Nothing wrong with that.
I like to keep it light.
Yeah.
So like I'm more into like pilsners and salads or
Okay.
chips and salsa and a lager. Kind of get a little boggy when I'm doing steaks and stouts and stuff like that.
They
Like,
get heavy.
So I like to keep it like light, more finger food,
Yeah.
and more social drinking.
I can get on board with that. It's Tuesday night. What are you drinking?
What am I going to drink tonight? Probably our East Coast.
Nice.
That's what I've been kind of jamming on lately.
What is your beercation destination?
The place I want to go to is Australia.
Okay.
So their craft beer industry is probably where ours was about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And it's really blowing up and taking off. And I have a friend back there that opened a brewery. That's where I want to go next.
Nice. What is your favorite outside, so non-slow, beer?
I like some of the Belgian beers like Orville,
Mm-hmm.
Duvel. I think those beers are amazing.
Some of the classics.
Yeah, like monastic brews I think are kind of another level.
Mm-hmm.
Alvarado I think is doing great.
Yeah.
Some of their beers I haven't had a bad one yet. I don't get to drink them that much, but honestly, I can't wait to go to my next favorite brewery. I don't know what it is yet.
It's a good answer. What's your favorite non-beer hobby?
Oh, I'm a surfer.
Okay.
We were talking earlier. I just moved to Shell Beach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of having to pinch myself lately because I got a dream job.
Right.
And I just moved to the beach, and I'm literally like a half a block from the beach.
That's awesome.
From my favorite surf spot. So now I got a dream house. It's just a little condo, but I love my wife. I'm pinching myself because it's everything's too good right now. It's awesome. Yeah.
That's good.
So yeah, surfing, hanging out with my wife and our dog, and yeah, pretty mellow.
Yeah. No, it's good. And finally, what's your favorite word or slang word for being drunk?
Tossed.
Okay. It's a good one.
That's a Aussie one.
Okay.
I pick up a lot of Aussie slang around here.
Well, the boss. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. So for anybody who hasn't been to SLO Brew, you got 2 spots to check out. We're at the Rock, which is 855 Arrow Vista Place. The Brew is what they call the pub downtown, right? And that's at 736 Higuera Street. Did I say that right? Higuera. I'm not from around these parts. SLObrew.com and at SLO Brew across the board on all the social media stuff. Have I missed anything?
I don't think so.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, cheers.
That was awesome.
Thanks one more time to Steve and to SLO Brew for sharing not only some great beers, but some time and some good stories with us. You can find them at slobrew.com. That's SLO as in San Luis Obispo. Or on social media at SLO Brew. If you're in the San Luis Obispo area, if you're in the central coast of California, go check them out at The Rock. That's where we were, 855 Arrow Vista Place. Or if you're downtown, you can go to The Brew, which is their pub, 736 Higuera Street. Make sure you say what's up. Make sure you let them know that you heard about them on The Unfiltered Gentleman. As far as us, you can find us at theunfilteredgentleman.com, on the social medias at The Unfiltered Gentleman, and of course on Twitter at Unfiltered Gents. Don't forget to leave us a voicemail, 805-538-BEER, 2337. And I hope in the meantime, everyone's staying hydrated. And on that note, good night, everybody.